Hello, this is Charlene from the Southern Gal's Kitchen, and we're going to make some lemon curd tarts. We're going to make a lemon curd filling. We're going to make them in little tart pans, and then we're going to put a strawberry or raspberry on top. You can do either one. You can do lime curd, you can do lemon curd, but we will show you how to do this in just a minute. Okay, to make our lemon curd, we're going to cook this over a bain-marie, which is just simmering water, not boiling. You'll cook your eggs too much. Just simmering. I've got it about less than halfway with water, and it's just come to a simmer. That's all you want. We're going to use 3 whole eggs, and I already have the eggs in, and we're going to add 3 egg yolks. And you can use your whites, some crust. This is kind of a keto recipe, but I altered it just a little bit. And I usually do with keto. I call it a low sugar because I liked, instead of having all sweetener, I'm going to put just a tad, 1 tablespoon exactly of sugar in the whole thing. So it's 1 tablespoon and 4 tarts. I think that's fine. You can use all artificial sweetener if you want to. We have 3 tablespoons of sweetener, 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'll add that in there. And you mix all this with a whisk before you put it on the heat, because again, you don't want those eggs to start cooking on you. We're going to put in 4 tablespoons of fresh lime juice. Be sure and squeeze your lemons, lemons. Squeeze your lemons fresh. The other just doesn't have as good a taste. And then you also need a tablespoon of zest. If you squeeze your own lemon, then you've got some zest there. And the zest and the lemon is really what makes this good. It tastes like lemon pie, almost, to me. It tastes a lot like lemon pie. But you can use this curd in a tart like we're going to, but it's low sugar, very low sugar. And you can also make this into a big tart, 1 big tart. I'm going to do 4 individuals, like I said, about this size. You can also use this between cake filling if you want to make a low sugar cake or a keto cake or a plain cake. Your filling could at least be low sugar. You can cut some sugar there. So we have our 3 eggs, 3 egg yolks, our 3 tablespoons of sweetener, or 1 tablespoon of sugar, and our 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, and our 1 tablespoon of zest. Now I also have 6 tablespoons of butter, and I've cut it up in pieces. It's not going yet, but we will need that in just a little bit. You set this over your water when your water's just simmering, and you're just going to whisk it. Do not go off and leave lemon curd cooking. You'll have scrambled eggs. It'll be a mess. You want to simmer it until it thickens, and I just keep stirring it. I don't like to go off and leave it for anything. I don't want to go off and leave it. You just have to stay with it. So we're going to stay with it. And when it starts thickening, then we're going to add our butter slices. Again, we got 6 tablespoons cut up in little slabs. We'll add about half of it in. Don't stir it, just let it set for about 30 seconds or so. Then we'll start whisking it and add in the rest. That's all there is to making lemon curd. It's very easy. I like this just to eat by itself. It's like to eat it like a pudding. It's very, very good. I love it. Your zest in the lemon, you just use a zester. You don't want that white. You just want the lemon, the peel. You get down that white pithy and it's going to taste kind of bitter, so be careful with that. Get you a good lemon peeler. This is the best one I've found, but I bought 3 or 4, and I like this one better than any. Just make a keto crust with this. You can make regular crust. It's just whatever you want to do, and there are many, many keto crust recipes. I've kind of got one down that I really like pretty well. You kind of have to modify them sometimes and adjust them, but it's something you like and then stick with it. But I've got one that I like. I also like my einkorn crust. As you know, I do a lot of cooking with einkorn. I'll make an einkorn crust on another day. In fact, I'm going to do einkorn crust 2 ways. I've got a couple of good recipes. One's in my book, and one is a different one. Mine's made with whole grain einkorn. The other one is made with all-purpose. I'm going to do 2 of those for you one day. This is starting to get a little white, yellow, foamy, whitish on the top. So it's getting ready to thicken up on us. I also like to take this, I'll chill it, and I'm going to chill this before we put it in our filling, or in our pie filling, in our crust. But you can just chill this, make it and layer it in like a parfait glass with granola. It's really, really good that way too. A lot of good uses for this recipe. It starts to thicken, it's going to get a real deep yellow color. It's a very pretty color, like lemon pie. And then just a little bit beyond that, it's going to start thickening up very quickly. This is almost thickened, so we'll get it starting to thicken up. In fact, it's thickened up. It just does it so quickly. So I'm going to set this off. It's very thick on us, just like it should be. We're going to add in about half our butter. Just let it set. Don't bother it for just 30 seconds or so. About half of it, and then we'll put in the rest. We're going to whisk. You want it, it's going to look just a tiny bit lumpy at first, but kind of maybe a little bit curdly. And when you whisk it down, it gets really smooth very quickly. We'll put the rest of the butter in, one stick at a time. Don't throw it all in there at once. Just do it a little bit at a time. We'll whisk that really well too. Now this is thickened up like pudding, which is what you want, pudding consistency. Otherwise, like I said, your custard's going to be runny, and that's not the goal. This will get really, really smooth. You can see that, but it's very smooth and thickened up. And it will finish thickening as it sets too. But when it kind of falls off your spoon real slowly, see it's really setting it up. You can rub your finger in the back. Oh, that is good stuff. Broke this down good on the sides, because just like pudding, you want it to cover it with your plastic wrap and really get it down on it so it won't get that scum on it. You don't want that scum on there. Chill it till it's cold and set, and then you'll be ready to put it in whatever pie dough you want to put it in. I'm going to make a keto one, like I said, but you could do this in a regular pie dough too. Very, very good. I'll push it down around the middle of it. We're now ready to make the crust for our tartlets. And the ingredients would be 1/4 of a cup of butter. And I've cut it up in little cubes. If you can see that. Just cut them up in cubes. 1/2 cup of almond flour. 1/2 cup of coconut flour. 1/4 cup of sweetener of your choice. 2 eggs, and I've beaten them up. And then I have some flour here, but that's just, I'll talk about that later. It's just when I'm rolling it out. You can not use the flour if you don't want it in there, but I find it a lot easier just to put my hands in it to pat the dough, because it's kind of sticky, but I'll show you that. Okay, we're going to put these ingredients in the food processor. That's the easiest way to do it. So we've got our almond flour, our coconut flour, our 1/4 cup sweetener, our 2 eggs, all that in there, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, but we're going to pulse this around just a little bit, mix it up. Pulse it so it kind of gets mixed up. You don't have to work it too much, but you want to get it mixed. You can tell when it's kind of mixed up in there. Then we're going to add our butter, and I like to just add a little bit and pulse it. Add a little more, maybe another 1/3 or so. It's been sitting out, it's starting to stick together. And then we'll put in the rest. And we're just going to pulse this enough. Now there's no gluten like for regular pie dough, so but you don't want to overwork that butter. I kind of like the butter still to be in nice pieces. At least not mushed completely. Some people use melted butter on their crust, but I find that this works way better for me. This crust is because the sweetener, it is more for a sweet tart, things like that. I know these low carb crusts, and this is pretty much a keto crust. And I don't do a lot of keto, I do more low carb. But just trying to cut the carbs on these tartlets a little bit. And so I'm making a crust. Now if you're making it for a savory base, whatever you're doing, the savory quiche or something, you wouldn't want this because the sugar is a sweetener. We're going to leave it in the refrigerator for a couple hours, and you can leave it overnight. And we're just going to turn it into kind of a disc in there. I'll mash it together. I like to just put it in the bag, and then I'll make my disc out of it. Don't need to mess up anything. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to shape these into our little tartlet pans and bake them. And then we will let those bake and cool. And then we'll put our filling in. I generally will make up my crust one day and the filling the next day, or might make the filling first and the crust second. But you can certainly do them all in one day. I've done that too. So however you want to do it, how much time you have. And that filling is good to eat just by itself. You can also take that and make a vanilla. Let's not put the lemon in there, but I'll do that another day. It makes like a vanilla, and you make a banana pudding out of it, which is really, really good too. So, I made one of those yesterday for my son and his family. Get the air out. Then you can shape this into your disc right in the bag. Shape it up a little bit. Mash it together. There we are. You know, this is never going to stay together like pie dough. That's why I use a tiny bit of AP flour on my hands when I'm rolling. I just press a little bit on there, but I'll show you. Okay, we are back and we are ready to roll out our crust and get it into our little pie tins. I'll show you how to do that. With a little bit of flour so you can work with it. Flatten it out to a disc shape. And then we'll just start working it in the pan, work it up the sides. Flat little measuring cup, and get that just a little flour in there, and you can kind of work those edges up like that too. I do cheesecake crust that way, and that helps it kind of flatten it out a little bit and even it up. Makes it a little more easier to work with. Get those edges done and make things sort of smooth on the bottom. Get that all the way you want it. You want to just prick the bottom just a little bit so it won't puff up on you too much. Okay, we've got a couple of crusts ready to bake, and I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to fill them, which is with our filling that we made up. Just spoon it in there, kind of spread it around. We'll do 2 while we're at it. There's enough here for 2 more. My kitty's getting curious there. As long as he stays down. He doesn't usually jump on the cabinet, but I don't think he ever has. Doesn't mean he couldn't though. I'll watch him. I want him on the cabinet. Okay, and then I like to take, usually I'll do fresh whipped cream, but I didn't have any made. You can make up fresh. I didn't want to make it up just for a few tarts. You can use the can. Sometimes I do that. Just put a little bit of whipped cream on there. A little bit, a whole lot, whatever you want. Then we're going to put a strawberry. Now I like to take my strawberries and sweeten them just a little bit, but you don't want them sitting in too much juice too long because they'll get soggy on you. And just put that right on the top. That looks good. They have the southern richness of the lemon tart that we like. Very good, low carb, southern style lemon tarts, and very lemony and very good. You're going to love these. Thanks for watching.